Hey guys, it's Dustin. So I've been getting a lot of comments on my YouTube channel asking how to sex pigeons or how to tell their genders. Several people have asked me, do you know if this pigeon is a male or a female, or just asked me how to tell. I'll go ahead and tell you right now that telling the genders of pigeons is well, I shouldn't say pretty difficult, but it is not easy, and I'm probably not going to be able to tell you if you have a male or female pigeon just because you send me a picture or ask me to look at a video. There's a lot of differences in pigeons, as there are many breeds, and there's pigeons all across the world. There's a lot of differences, and so even though I can tell the different genders of my pigeons pretty well by looking at them, those differences are going to be altered depending on the family. Even different families of racing homers are going to look different, the males and females. But I will show you, and it's something you're going to have to learn with experience, not something I can just tell you. But I am going to show you how to tell the difference by behavior, which is the far better way to do it. You don't always get it right just by looking at them. Plenty of times I've thought a pigeon was one gender, had it turn out to be another. But I'll go over it all with y'all so y'all can see. I'm going to start out here at the flying loft, and also if you've been watching my channel, my birds I bought at the auction yesterday are still out here, still doing well. I did throw another young homer in there that I'm not particularly concerned about, one that can't fly right in there to help teach them to eat. They weren't wanting to eat the pellets very well, probably just used to a seeded diet. So with pigeons like this, most of these, this is my young bird loft, and most of these are real young, and because of that, you're not going to see a lot of the behaviors that an older pigeon would exhibit. Now, this one is an older bird, and you see how he's cooing and he's bowing? That's his mate right beside him, who's also an older bird. She's a hen. See, he's going to come follow her. With mated pairs, the cock tends to follow the hen around a lot. You see how he's cooing and bowing? He's obviously focusing all that attention onto her. And that's a good sign that he's a cock, and the pigeon that he's showing off to is a hen. See, he's getting up right above her, right there near her, he's bowing. See, he's spinning in a circle. Sometimes hens will bow like that and coo as well, but they won't usually spin around in a full circle, as you've seen him do several times. There he goes, spinning in a circle. That's a good sign that that bird is a cock. Now, the majority of the way that you tell if a pigeon is a male or a female is actually more of just trying to tell if it's a male or if it's probably not a male. The females actually just exhibit less behavior in general, and so a lot of times cocks will be confused as hens when they don't basically mature faster. The faster maturing cocks will be picked out as cocks earlier, but late blooming cocks that don't mature as quickly will oftentimes be confused for hens. You see, he went over there and pecked at that pigeon, moved it out of the way. Pigeons don't have a real pecking order like chickens would, but an older cock like that, he's going to, show his dominance. He's just going to act dominant in general to everyone. But you won't usually see hens going and picking on each other. They're usually a lot more laid back. Usually. And see, the cocks are going to be more verbal in general. He wants everybody to look at him. Whereas younger birds, like most of these are, those two white birds, that ash red grizzle, which is the very light colored bird there that's not completely white, flapping its wings. That pigeon right there and that one, both of these, they're all younger birds, and to be honest, they're only just now, they're starting to stop squeaking and starting to make more of an adult sound. It kind of sounds like they're honking right now. So they're not really going to exhibit those same behaviors, which makes it much more difficult to tell their genders. But I am going to go over how you can look at your pigeons and get a pretty good idea of what they are. Unfortunately, that was not a lot of behavior right there. But also, oftentimes you'll see cocks displaying to each other and fighting. Now I'm going to take y'all into my breeding loft, and to make sure I can show you what I mean about how cocks will oftentimes interact with each other, I'm going to grab this guy right here, maybe, hopefully, there we go. Grab him and take him into the breeding loft with me. And I'm going to let my young birds out to fly while I do this. Is that everyone? That's everyone. That pigeon doesn't fly. Oh, and this bird, he wants to go now. Here. Sorry guys, let me shut my traps here so they can't go back in. Now we'll step into my breeding loft. There are the birds way out there if you can see them. But we'll step into my breeding loft now. Alright, so right off the bat I can hear a cock cooing down here. This bird right here, he's a little nervous now that I walked up. But he was cooing. Right now he's kind of showing off to his hen. He's kind of walking circles around her. He's not doing it too much right now. I'm making him a little nervous. But he was going circles around her. A lot of times in the pigeons, they'll mark out a territory for themselves. And oftentimes you'll see see the cocks kind of circle around the hen, gently cooing to them, oftentimes rubbing against them. A lot of times when a cock goes somewhere, you see he just flew over here and made a little noise, and now he's still cooing a little bit. That's a little cock right there. A lot of times they will announce their presence as soon as they fly over somewhere with a little noise. Not all the time, but oftentimes. Again, that's cock-like behaviors. Now, I told you that they'll show off to each other, so here's the cock I grabbed out of the flying loft. We'll see, he'll probably immediately go and see, he's going to start cooing. That's another cock up there, cooing and bowing. See how that's actually that's not his mate there, but that's a hen he's going after. You see how he dragged his tail along the ground? He's coming to her, bowing, and he's kind of spreading his tail, holding it low. That's something the cocks do. That's him courting a hen. If you see a pigeon doing that, you can pretty well assume the one doing it is a cock, and the one it's going after while dragging its tail is a hen. And you can see he's down here. He's showing off to another cock. The other cock's going to respond by doing the same thing. They're bowing. You can see they're both showing off. Now they're going to go fight. And pigeons won't ever really hurt themselves, so I'm not concerned about the fact they're fighting. Of course, I wouldn't leave them in here, but they're not really going to hurt themselves. See, one cock will try and push the other cock off. Now, hens will do that as well to defend a nest box. In a nest box, which has been defined as that pigeon's territory, you'll see a hen try and push off other pigeons, both male and female. So they both fell out that time. But see, that's two cocks fighting. Hens won't usually do that. But again, a hen will do that to protect its territory, especially if it has eggs or young. So, but again, the cocks are going to be much more verbal. See that hen, that black one right there is a hen. You see, she came out and she took a bite at him. They're making a nest in here, and they've got two babies in there too, two older babies. And so she's even going to come out here and defend their little nest box down there from the cock. But she was obviously not doing it as intensely. You're never going to see the hens spinning around. You're never going to see the hens dragging their tail along the ground. With one exception. After pigeons mate, they'll oftentimes go walking around the loft, both of them dragging their tail along the ground, kind of showing off their proud that they had just mated. Sorry, I had to restart that camera cutout. But so you won't ever see hens spinning all the way around like that. But young cocks, especially, oftentimes you'll see them driving everybody. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't just say young cocks. They all do it. See, most of these are cocks right now in here, with the exception that white one back there is a hen, and then all the rest of these are cocks. But again, you just see a lot of displaying going on. Now let's talk about how to tell the difference between the males and females at a glance. So I've got a good set of pigeons to use as an example. This pigeon right here, who's not normally like this, I'll stick him in here. These two are mates. This is the female and this is the male. So looking at them together, and the hen is squatting down a little bit at the moment, but you can see that, alright, this guy's causing trouble. I've shown y'all what I need to show. I'm going to let him fly with the rest of the flock out there. Go on. There he goes. So anyways, let's take a look at these. So you can kind of see this pigeon is a little smaller. It's not much shorter, but you can see her neck is a little skinnier. It's less filled out. If I turn him around, tried to turn him around, he doesn't want too much to do with me. But he's a little larger, a little more masculine looking. And then a lot of times their heads. Come here. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Maybe I should do this with a slightly tamer pigeon. This is another hen here. Come here. If you can see this area, I wish I had two hands. The area right above in front of the head, that's called the crown. And oftentimes it's much smaller on a hen. Come here. She's going to bite me. I can grab hold of her. So you see, it's much, just going to kind of roll around. But that's much smaller on a hen, usually a little bit smaller. Whereas and you can see the same thing here. If she'd stop moving around so much, that she has kind of, a small forehead basically. Whereas the cocks are going to tend to have a little bit larger one. And again, this guy's not doing much to try and help me out here. But you see, he's got a little more of a crown right there. Camera's not wanting to focus. But just that larger looking forehead. Hopefully the camera will focus. But he's got that larger looking forehead. Whereas the top of her head and her eye just seem to be a lot closer together. See, there you go, you can tell. And that's basically how you do it, by looking at them. There's also some other things I've heard. Let me turn the camera around here and show you. I've heard that if you... Oh, I think the camera's still zoomed in. Wrong way. There we go. So I've heard that if you take the pigeon and you hold his legs like that, and just kind of hold on to it, and you're supposed to be able to do like this, make it think it's falling. And with the hen, the tail is supposed to stick up in the air like that, and with the cock, it's supposed to stick its tail down. And to be honest, hers is kind of going both ways. If I really drop her like that, her tail goes down. That's supposed to simplify a cock, but I know that this bird is a hen. So that hasn't really worked out too well for me. Not to mention, with other breeds of pigeons, like this roller here, the rollers, they do backflips, and when they do, their tails stick up in the air. Look at this. I'm just holding on to him, and you can see his tail sticking up in the air there. So this is a cock, and according to what I've been told about how you're supposed to hold them and do like that, his tail should be sticking straight down like that. But it's not. It's sticking straight up, and that's because he's a roller. All your rollers and tumblers are going to do that no matter what their gender is. So that's not really worked out too well for me. And you'll hear lots of other things like that. But the best way you're going to be able to tell is just by watching their behavior. See, he's cooing and he's spinning around. That's a cock right there. Now his hen, this lighter colored bird right here is his mate. And in this case also size doesn't work out. This is these pigeons are the same breed. That's the cock. But the hen is actually a bit larger than he is, and that's something I'm breeding for in this particular case, is I want smaller birds like him. But you see how he's going crazy, bowing and cooing, dragging his tail on the ground. But you see how she's not having much of a response. She's going to kind of jump up there in the nest. They've got a baby in there. So the hens are just going to have, you're going to see a lot less active behavior from the hens. Now, they will fight you on the nest. To be honest, I don't really have any hens on the nest right now. This time of day, oh, here's one over here. So this is a hen, but if I stick my hand over here, see, she's going to bite me. She's actually not doing too much to me right now. But, you know, they'll do that on the nest. And so will the cocks. This is a cock. Of course, this is a pretty nice one. This is actually a really tame bird, so he's not really going to prove my point. He's going to let me reach over here and touch him and stuff, even though he's sitting on eggs. He's got eggs under here. And he's just going to let me mess with him because he's all tame and he's going to defy me. But, and here's a cock, so he's gonna fight me. He's not gonna let me reach in here. And again, completely proving me wrong because he's letting me just touch him. Usually he would like attack me. So pigeons like to prove me wrong. This one though, this is a hen right here, and I know that she will go at me. All right, I need to stop saying that because usually all I have to do is look at this pigeon and it'll wing slap me and bite me. So, note to self: don't declare that a pigeon is going to do something, because as soon as you try to get it to, it's not going to. But usually she would wing slap me and bite me. There she goes, a little bit. See, I don't know why she's not. This bird is not scared of me. She loves to fight me. But so the cocks and hens will both do that to defend their territory. These are her two babies right here. But most of how you tell the gender of your pigeons just from watching the cocks. Again, this is her mate right here, and if I stick him in here, he'll probably start cooing and showing off. See, there he goes, showing off already. You can see him inflating his crop. Well, it's actually an air sac and around his crop that he's inflating, kind of like the frogs do when they croak, and he's going to do that. See, this cock is doing that too, making that low rumbling sound. So that's basically how you tell. Also, towards the middle of the day, usually cocks are sitting on the nest. This is a cock sitting on the nest here. That's a cock sitting on his nest right there. He just had babies hatch. You can see him under there, little bitty babies. So, towards the middle of the day, cocks are going to be on the nest. And then usually at night, in the evenings, and in the mornings, the hens are on the nest. But that doesn't always hold true. Sometimes you'll find cocks on the nest at night. This is the hen sitting on the nest here in the middle of the day. It's like 2 in the afternoon, so it doesn't always hold true. So, but when you see 2 pigeons that'll stay in one nest box like this, 2 adult pigeons, that's going to be a mated pair. And if you watch their behavior, usually you'll be able to distinguish which one's the male or female. I haven't mentioned driving, actually. That's another thing. I've seen this cock drive in his hen, so maybe I'll be able to get him to do it if I set her out here. Driving, and hopefully he's going to come do it now, is where the cock will come over at the hen, and he'll start pecking her on the head. He'll come up behind her and start pecking her on the head. And what he's doing is trying to get her to go back to the nest box. That usually means that he's been mating with her, and she needs to lay soon, and he wants her to come back to the nest box and lay her egg. So he's going to prove me wrong, probably not come do it. Maybe if I stick him out here, he will, but hopefully he'll come drive her, so I can show you what I mean. But he's kind of ignoring her right now, so. But I've put videos on that before. He's looking like he might. He's kind of cooing and he's walking after her, but he's not pecking her on the head. And sometimes that can get so intense that you'll start seeing them having problems with the feathers on their heads. But right now all he's really doing is chasing her. He's not really driving her. But that's about the best I think I've pretty well covered it. So hopefully that's been helpful. And things like this are gonna, differ between breeds and between families. I mean, this pigeon right here is not related to his mate right here, of course, and she's quite a bit larger than he is. You would have thought that he was the hen, but he's actually not. He's a cock. So, oh, there is one other way. It's called a sex-linked breeding. Now, I explained this in much greater detail on a video I've already put on YouTube called sex-linked breeding. I may have called it sex-linked breeding in pigeons, but I think I just called it sex-linked breeding. Anyways, the way it works is males have I think they have 2 Z chromosomes, and the female has a Z and a W. And there are multiple genes, the one I'm going to use as an example right now being color. base color is carried only on the Z chromosome, which means the male has 2 copies for it and the female only has 1. And when they breed, the female, and this is reverse of mammals, but the female is actually the one that decides whether the babies are going to be male or female by either giving her Z or her W chromosome. If she gives her Z chromosome, which will mean giving a copy for color by default because that chromosome carries color, then the offspring will be male. But if she gives her W chromosome, and to make it easier to understand and to keep in mind, I like to just call it her girl chromosome, then they'll be girls, but because she gives that girl chromosome, she will not be giving any base color genes because those are only carried on the Z, or the male chromosome, for real layman terms. And base color is one of those. Now ash red, which is the color she is, and she's a satinette, so ignore all the other fancy stuff that's going on with her. For all purposes, this is an ash red bird with these brown markings and light gray wings and light gray tail. That's ash red versus this being blue, the kind of gray bird with the black markings. A lot of times, you know, blue bar, and there goes a blue check. So ash red is dominant to blue, and see, this pigeon probably has, I say probably, I know he does, he carries blue. One of his Z chromosomes has blue, and one of his Z chromosomes has ash red. Because ash red is dominant, that's what shows up. But because he also has blue, you'll see some dark markings. You see there's a black mark on his wing, which he stopped biting me. You can see there's a little black fleck there. You'll see him, there's one there. And that's because he carries blue. But the ash red shows through. And so any bird that has an ash red gene is going to be ash red, whereas the bird has to have 2 blue genes, or a blue and a brown. Brown is the most recessive, and because of that you almost never see it. But to keep things real simple, I'm just going to say it has to have 2 blue genes to be blue, except in the cases of females, like this one. Actually, that's the male. Never mind. And again, I can tell by looking at him. I know my birds pretty well. That's the female right there, and that's his mate. But anyways, so the females only carry 1 copy, so they're going to just be whatever color they carry. And what that means is that when I pair an ash red hen, which is what this one is, she has 1 copy for ash red, and then she also has her W chromosome, which is, I'm calling the girl chromosome to keep it simple. And the male, wherever he went, there he is right here. No, that's not, that's his son. There he is right here. So I'll bring him over here so it's easy to keep track and watch. He's blue. Now he's also got indigo and spread, some other things, but don't pay attention to that. For all purposes, his base color is blue, just like this pigeon. And so when we pair them together, if she donates her W chromosome to make which would make the offspring girls, she doesn't give color. Only he does, and he carries blue and blue, which is why he's blue. And so their girl babies are going to be blue, which this one right here is. So I know that this pigeon right here is a hen. However, if she donates her Z chromosome, which has a copy for color, in this case it being ash red, if she donates that, then he's also going to donate one, but his is going to have blue, and that bird is going to have a blue and a red gene. And because red is dominant, red's going to show up, as in the case of this one right here. If I can get it to stand on my hand, it'll be easier for you to see. So this one is ash red, and there's other stuff going on, so kind of ignore the extra stuff like the white on his head and wings and all that. But that's an ash red bird. You can see he's got a light gray coloration. So I know that that's going to be a male. Now he also carries blue. So if I bred him to, well, I'm not going to get into all that because I'm just trying to tell you about color, genders. So because I did a sex-linked breeding, I know with 100% certainty that that is a male, and that little one right there, which is kind of hiding back there, this one right here, that baby, is a female. And I did the same thing over here. He's blue, also blue, and then his hen, which has a bunch of other stuff going on that makes her mostly white, but she is ash red. If the camera's focusing, you can see a little bit of that, the red, rusty red coloration on her wing. So she's a red hen, and so we've got the same thing going on with their baby, which I can see is mostly going to be white, but it's also blue grizzle. You can see these light blue feathers here, which also have grizzling, which is a whole other thing I'm not going to get into. But this is a blue-based bird, which is pooping. So I know that it is a hen. So that little baby is a girl right there. So, but that doesn't always work out. Most of the time you don't have any idea, but in those instances where you do a sex-linked breeding, you can tell right off the bat. So I think that's pretty much everything I can cover on genders. You'll hear lots of other old wives' tale about how to tell the gender they are. And my young birds have come and landed. They all want in. Go on, fly. But yeah, I'm going to get back to flying these young birds. Got them, get them in shape for this year's race. But hopefully that answers those questions that have been being asked. For any further comments asking how to tell the genders, I'll probably just reply to your comment with a link to this video for you to watch. And here, this is a good example because they're out on the ground. You'll recognize this cock as the one I was showing you the most before, and that right there is his mate. A lot of times a pair of pigeons will stay pretty close, and even though you probably can't hear it on the camera, probably mostly because I keep talking, he is cooing, and you can probably see him bowing and inflating his crop a little bit as he follows her around. And if she goes and flies up onto the loft, which she's looking like she might, he will probably follow right behind her, stay right there with her. But, or maybe not, because there he goes flying off by himself. But, anyways, and that's another cock right there, courting her now. You can see him bowing and bringing himself back. But I think that's everything I can show you, so I'm going to get back to flying my birds. But hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Most of these are going to be updates. I train for the race this year. I'm breeding the birds, though. I'm breeding rollers, too, as y'all just saw. So make sure you keep up to date with that. But thanks for watching, guys. Take care.